Hello everyone, this is my top shelf book tour, part 1, because it's a fairly packed bookshelf, and unlike the other bookshelves I've read most of these books and I have something to say about them, so I think it might take just a little bit longer to get through it all, but this is it. This is my top shelf. This is where the best of things I've read normally goes. Not everything is here. I've got a lot of books in boxes scattered around the house, unfortunately, but the ones I've got are the ones that have been here for a long time, or the ones that I've just recently purchased. So we'll start off with Asimov and the complete robot collection. Notable, I think, mainly for The Bicentennial Man, which is a superb story. Most of the other stories in there I can probably take them or leave them, but The Bicentennial Man was absolutely brilliant. It reduced me to tears, I can admit that, but it's a good story, so there's no problems. This is one of the books I bought because of BookTube. That was spoken about by someone at some point. The Star Wars retellings in the voice of William Shakespeare, and I thought it was absolutely genius. All the books, all the Star Wars films do exist in this William Shakespeare's voice, but I'm not sure I need all of them. Just reading the one, like, you can just pick any one, I suppose, any one which you like, and just kind of go for it, and I thought that was a really entertaining, very well written, funny take on Star Wars. Not funny like all the way through, but just a couple of jokes about like who shot first, that kind of thing. And these two, well known by BookTube, are obviously Laini Taylor's Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares. I actually favoured Strange the Dreamer over Muse of Nightmares. I don't want to get into the little details and possibly spoil anything, but I enjoyed them, especially book 1. And I will say, to my personal reading tastes, I think I could have stopped a happy reader at about chapter 3 in Strange the Dreamer, when he found, when he went from the monastery life to the library. When he found the library, I was like, oh, that's it mate, you're done, like, that's life, well done, you made it to a library. But he just kept on adventuring, so what can you do? The Spakowski books, I'm actually missing one. I've lent The Last Wish to my sister, so I'm missing one, but I read the first 3. First 2 were a collection of short stories, and The Blood of Elves is the first proper kind of story, front to back, which definitely my preference rather than short stories. Another missing book actually relates to this one. It's my Sanderson. It's my first Sanderson, and I've only read 2, and the other one's The Arithmetist, and again The Arithmetist has been lent to my sister, so I've only got Elantris left. But as Elantris was my first Sanderson, I have to say I am very impressed. I didn't think I would be. Sanderson, as a man, I think has some questionable traits. Very much makes me raise an eyebrow. But in terms of fantasy writing, it was pretty compelling. It was pretty spot on. And these 3 here, these are the kind of special ones, because when I first got into reading, I read Harry Potter and read all the way through, and I was like, okay, what else is out there? And I went into Waterstone's local bookstore, and right in front of me was this set of books. There was a few more besides, but these are the ones I picked up, and at random I ended up picking up 3 pretty spot on legendary books, and every single one of them I enjoyed. I Am Legend is very memorable. it's obviously, I mean, if you know anything, you've probably seen the Smith film or heard it about, but I Am Legend, the book, is pretty damn good. Like, I mean, I read it over a decade ago and I can still remember a great many details of it. So I think that's probably a sign of a good story, well written. The Star's My Destination, I'm probably going to reread and book review that soon because it blew my tiny little mind, and I'm all for that. And Cities in Flight, which is was fairly advanced sci-fi to kind of get into, where all the cities of what they would say is old Earth gain the ability to take off into space. So we follow New York City as it takes off into space, which is just fascinating. And I believe Cities in Flight is a collection of three or four separate tales, all bundled into one. But again, I need to reread it, it's been too long. The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch, I am probably going to get rid of. I found it because of BookTube. I heard great things. I did not find great things within its pages. I found it a bit meh. Now, these two, Let the Galaxy Burn and the Ultramarines Omnibus, both obviously, as you can see, Warhammer 40,000. Both collections. Let the Galaxy Burn is short stories and the Ultramarines is 3 novels, I think. But Let the Galaxy Burn I read ages and ages ago, and there's some great little stories in there that I still remember, like just beautiful little things. It's probably the best and my favourite of the short story collections of any of the short stories from any universe. It's just a really nicely put together little collection. The Ultramarines Omnibus, there are some things in there that will stay with me to the end of my days for being absolutely and truly sickening to my core. So if you're weak of stomach, Ultramarines Omnibus, not the story for you. In fact, Warhammer 40,000, not the story for you. Moving on, I have my collection of Temeraire books. Naturally, they're all different sizes, and they're out of order, I think. I remember I started reading Temeraire and the series of Temeraire, and I was into it. I was absolutely in love with it. And then the new book came out, and I searched high and low, and I couldn't find it out of Australia. And I was pretty much heartbroken that I couldn't get my hands on it. So I walked away from the series. Odd as it may be, that's what happened. I partially regret it. The stories had become a little bit more less compelling as time had gone by, but the first few books, I think first 3 or 4, are absolutely fantastic, and the first one, which is just simply Temeraire, is fantastic. So if you want to go out and get Temeraire, you can thank me later. The Lord of the Rings series, which I really struggled through. For someone who loves fantasy, for someone who loves the films, I really struggled through the Lord of the Rings books. So again, I'm going to have to reread them at some point and kind of try and get past it, but my initial first reading of them was a bit of a kick in the gut. And at the end there, I've got Patrick O'Brien's Master and Commander and Post Captain, and I read Master and Commander and I quite enjoyed it. My favourite character by far was the Doctor. He seems quite scientific, logical, reasonable. I like that kind of thing. And then right at the end of the book, as they were going past northwest Africa, I think it was, the Doctor goes on like a little rant about how much he hates Moors. And that just threw me, because I was clinging on to his character as like someone good and someone I could follow. and that little rant kind of spun me off, so I never actually got to Post Captain and read it, but I am a little bit tempted after all this time. And packed in on the top, we've got some of the books I've recently reviewed and recently read. Dan Brown's Deception Point and Ben Alton's Past Mortem. The Princess Bride by William Goldman, and a couple that I didn't review. American Assassin by Vince Flynn, and All Systems Red by Martha Wells, which is the sci-fi novella that's up there. That was another one that was recommended to me by BookTube, but I didn't really get on with it. I read it in a flash and I wasn't particularly blown away, so I have not carried on. And these two have also been reviewed. George R.R. Martin's Tough Voyaging and The Incredible Unlikeliness of Being by Dr. Alice Roberts. Well, it's Professor Dr. Alice Roberts. But yeah, that's my top bookshelf. And I just realised I did not explain anything about the Temeraire series at all. So I'm going to do it in the simplest way possible because time's gone on. Temeraire is a dragon, and the Temeraire series is, so far to me, the definitive dragon series. The dragons talk, the dragons are just exceptional, and it's set in a historic fiction, but it's just brilliant. So if you please, take my word for it, go start Temeraire by Naomi Novik. And that's all I got. Farewell.